Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Oh, no, it's scary. We're at BAFTA. I need to hear that you're there. Just pouring some water here. So, hey, it's good to see you. It's good to be here at this event. My name's Michaela Sinead, and I'm going to be talking to you about my experience in this industry as an outsider. Oh, okay, well, I thought it was funny, but yeah. So basically, I've been in this industry we're coming up to 3 years now, and I just want to share with you where it started for me, why it felt kind of rocky at the beginning, and the things that I've seen throughout my time that give me hope. The things that I've seen throughout my time that when I'm in this room, I've been told that there are folks in this space that are either the current leaders, the emerging leaders, or the future leaders of this industry, and just my wish that you would take forward in your journey. Tips that I've learned, tips that I try and embed in my daily practice. But I want this to be a conversation as well, a spark to things that we can do to make this industry more welcoming, more, I would say, more inclusive, but in a way that's sustainable, meaningful sustainability in inclusivity, and just accessible to folks who really think it is so far away. Because I tell you, this chick from Birmingham would never have thought that she was out on stage for BAFTA. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a big deal, and this is what this industry has the capability to do in a short amount of time, which means that we can make things better in a short amount of time as well. Okay, so great. Next. So what's that to start with? Because we keep rolling, we just keep rolling. Nice! And I like the interaction too. Oh, like it. Right. So these are the three aspects, essentially. Be active, seek community, and build safe spaces. Okay, so here's me. A wrestling fan. For those who know wrestling, know exactly what pose I'm doing. Randy Orton is the greatest. So, I've gamed all my life, pretty much. Gaming for me is nostalgia. Gaming for me is home. Gaming for me is family. When I was growing up, I've got a big family, lots of cousins, lots of aunts, lots of uncles, lots of family, really wonderful. Gaming was the time where I was able to interact with my cousins and my sister, and we'd be able to have fun together, and it just reminds me of my nan's house, okay? It's that safe space. In the 2020 happenings, I'll call it, I needed that safe space. I think we all did. I think there's a similarity feeling of hopelessness when you look at the world, the wild way that the world is operating right now. I think it's important to acknowledge the heaviness that is around at the moment, and the heaviness that was around in 2020 and hasn't lifted, essentially. So for me, it was really important to find something where I could just desperately hold on to. For me, that was Luigi. That was Luigi's Mansion. I got myself a Switch, and I dove back into gaming in a way that I hadn't before. And it was just, you know, with Nintendo, with all of the things, it was just wonderful nostalgia, and was able to really build me up. And it made me think that, well, why had I denied myself gaming for so long? And it's because I'd let myself listen to people tell me that it's not for me, that it's not a space for me. Because when you think of a gamer, that's not necessarily the image that you think of. You usually, or folks at the time usually, thinking about teenaged white guys, or teenaged white guys with long hair, or white guys with long hair and beards. It's not a black chick from Birmingham. It's not that. So for me, it was really important to kind of think, right, okay, well, if I'm being told that this is not a space for me in my true rebel nature, how can I make space for me? And who else needs to make space for themselves? Because in the 2020 happenings, all we needed so desperately was connectivity and to feel a part of something. And so I wanted to do that. And so I looked into the industry. Now, before I came to the industry, I worked for local authority. Yeah, I worked in a very big local authority, and you might be able to tell by my accent which local authority it was. And it was a very interesting space to be operating in, but it was my dream to get to that point, because I graduated at University of Birmingham as a social policy graduate. So I was very much in the mind of political power, and I still very much believe in the power of local authority. But I had these three characters as proper role models. Does anyone recognise any of them? The characters, not the women. Just a show of hands if you recognise the first one. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, the second one. And the third. Oh my days. Right, this is what, you know what's wonderful? I get to share it with you, and you get to experience for the first time. Oh, right, I'm jealous. So the first character, who is it? Olivia Pope, yes. Whoever said that with chest, thank you. Olivia Pope. Now, Olivia Pope, from the show Scandal, was a character that, with everything, it's about doing the right thing, and doing it for the right reasons, okay, and making sure that whether it was a little bit dodgy, but you know, it's still in that political space. It had to be, but the idea was that she fixes things. If there's a problem, she makes it better. If there's a problem, she's able to deal with it. The second character, anybody recognise? Annalise Keating, again, yes. Absolute force, a fierceness that I aspire to be. So well-rounded, She's so flawed and well-rounded at the same time, and so fixated on, right, let's do this, let's make this happen, and with an attitude and with a kind of presence of like, right, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're moving forward. Again, not the best people personally in terms of like some of their moral choices, but there's still that compass of like, well, this is the right thing to do. And the third character, I know there were less hands, but this is Molly Carter in the TV series Insecure. Now with Molly, she was an absolute, she's just, again, flawed but fantastic, because she cared so deeply about showing up, and she's such a wonderful friend to her best friend Issa, and she's able to just move things in a way that, right, okay, this is what we need to do. So basically the fierceness with all of these three women, with the moral compass, but then getting things done, and there were elements in them that made me think, right, okay, well, this is how I can show up. Yes, flawed, yes, not perfect, but working on it and still having like this angle of, right, let's do the right thing. That's how I wanted to move forward, and that's how I want to do things. So the first thing that I want you to think about when we're talking about inclusivity, when we're talking about belonging, we're talking about like moving forward, is like, be active. So even when the thing is scary, just go for it, because you don't know where it will lead. I went to my very first Develop on, it was in July 2022. And with Develop, for those of you who may not know, it's a massive event in gaming every year, where industry folks will come and will discuss different topics, we'll meet with different people, there'll be different events that are on. And I was told early on that if I wanted to make it in this industry, I had to go to this event. I had to go there and meet people. The thing is, when I went to this event, I did not enjoy myself. I was nervous, I was scared, I was very clearly different to everyone else. I believe that it was the first Develop since the 2020 happenings, so it was the first in-person event that a lot of people had come, so that meant that rather than meeting people, folks were reconnecting. And when you're the newbie, you've got no one to reconnect with, so you've got all of these people who are seeing their friends and seeing people that they know, and they're not seeing me. Now, when you're able to look at a perspective, okay, well, it's the first time a lot of people have come to an event for the first time. in a while being able to connect with their friends. Maybe it's that thing. But when you are othered, there's always that thing of like, what is that about? Is it because they don't know me, or is it because of who I am? Is it because of what I look like? And there's always that second, third and fourth thought of like, I wonder. Now, there were some scenarios where I felt like a kid on her first day at senior school. You know, when you walk in, you've got this massive bag, and you're in year 7 and you're tiny, and you look up and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? It was that exact moment when I walked into the Hilton, and all I saw was the sea of white bearded men again. And I walk in, I'm like, I know I'm in the right place because I know, it's developed, but am I in the right place? And it was very, very difficult to kind of walk through and try and navigate around that, just feeling very out of place, knowing that I needed so desperately something or someone. In that time, it was very useful for me to be able to clock eyes with a contact that I'd made, Dom Shaw, who anyone in the games industry should know, will know, DEI coordinator for Yuki. And instantly it was like, a breath of release. Like, okay, someone, okay, fine. A friendly face, a warm face, a safe space. Great. Spoke to him and I was able to acclimatise myself. But then I went on for the weekend, which is not cheap either, right? And I didn't have an organisation that was able to pay for my travel or pay for my accommodation. That was all coming out of my pocket. So there was a cost attached to it as well, which can be another barrier for folks. But I had the opportunity to walk around, and I'd had advice before to get like the kind of general pass and go to some of the fringe events. Thank goodness I had that advice. But I only had that advice because I had to do a lot of work to seek that information. I had to, with my confident hat on, reach out to people and say, hey, okay, I'm going to develop, what should I do? That's asking an awful lot of someone who's brand new. There's the opportunity, like, yes, and then once I asked, people were very helpful and very welcoming and very, accommodating. But that's still a big amount of work. What can we do to make that feel like less of a mountain for people when they're entering into the space? In that weekend, there were significant moments where I felt pretty low. One of the moments that particularly tough was at an event ran by Creative UK at the time, and I was speaking to, I thought I was speaking to, these two guys, and I remember distinctly asking a question to one of the guys, which he literally turned his back to me and answered my question to the other man. And I just thought, what? What is it about me that, clearly you like my question, you just don't want to speak to me about that, what is all of that about? And when I turned around, because my back was turned to, I turned to someone who, again, came from another safe space because I was introduced to her by Dom. Grace, you know, one of the people who's like made it possible for you to be here today? Yeah, turned around and spoke to her. First time we'd ever spoken. And at this moment when I felt quite low, I just was like, oh, okay, let me talk to someone else. And we struck up a conversation. It was great. I've just been on the back of whatever that was, and I just turned around, and here was someone who was warmer, much warmer, and actually interested in what I wanted to say, and introduced me to a couple of her colleagues. We stayed in touch, and I think less than a year later, Grace invited me to speak at BAFTA, which is at the top left. It was a talk that we did there, and I could have never imagined that from that very, very difficult situation that I was just in, turning around and having that conversation with someone would have spurred on. It was tough to be there. It was tough to to make the effort to go to develop and then to try and speak to people who didn't really want to speak to me. But then there was that option when there was someone who did want to speak to me, how that kind of blossomed. Like, you can't foresee that, but you need to put yourself in the spaces, or try as best as you can to put yourself in the spaces. So there's a bit of work on the individual to do, but we also need to think about who's there and the environment that we're creating for them as well. At another event, the top right, this image is about now, I went to an event that was focused on marginalised genders and organised by the wonderful Reese and Kat. Save Point, if you're aware of them. Now this was a wonderful opportunity to meet with folks who, again, were in a similar kind of situation, othered for whatever reason. And in that interaction, I struck up a conversation with Leela. Again, this is on the back of I've just walked around the Develop main space and wasn't really quite sure what I was doing. Went around into that event, and it was a breath of fresh air. Food was good. People were nice. It was a free event, and if it wasn't free, it was close to free. But I do believe it was a free event, actually. So again, thinking about access again. I was able to strike up a conversation with Leela, who at the time worked for Northern Ireland Screen. Again, I'm still feeling pretty crappy about the Develop weekend, but in that conversation and the subsequent developing of the relationship with Leela, she and her team invited me to speak at Northern Ireland Screen Pixel Mill to deliver some confidence workshops to some of their participants in one of the accelerator programs that they have. Amazing. At the time, I didn't know it was going to happen, but because I showed up and because there was someone willing and wanting to engage, we're able to do that. Bottom left, I had met someone at Develop who found out that I was from Birmingham and said, "Oh, you need to reach out to Robin Gray from Gray Jones Media." And reaching out to Robin after I wrote my piece about Develop, because there was a nervousness about writing what I wrote about my experience, but I think it was important. And I say in the piece as well that I wrote it because it was for a younger version of me who would have loved to have read that, to love to understood. And there's a number of people who reached out to me after that piece, and Robin resonated with elements that I'd shared, and I'd stayed in touch with Robin. Robin has been, though not officially, but has been a very wonderful mentor for me in that time. And today I'm now on the executive board for Create Central with Robin and a number of other individuals in the West Midlands that are aiming to make the creative industry more better, thrive, and more just better and more for folks in the region. So the person who was a mentor and such a great support, I now get to sit on a board with him, and we get to make our region better, which is just phenomenal as well. And then the fourth picture, again, following on from that, from writing the piece about my experience. Okay, so to go back, my first love is Sonic, obviously, right? A lot of people, they love Mario, and yeah, great. Sonic is my guy. So when Sega, I'll say it again, Sega invited me to speak about my, they had a panel discussion. This was with Rena from at the seat at the table, to be able to share experiences alongside Liz Prince and a couple of other people on the panel. That was on the back of putting that piece out again. Connected with Rena over LinkedIn, shared a little bit more about our theories and our plans for inclusivity in this space. And from that, Rena invited me to this event, and I was able to, I'm able to put that on the bucket list of, I've spoken at a Sega event, which is phenomenal. These opportunities don't happen anywhere else. This industry moves so quickly. Opportunities happen so quickly, and in that time where I met folks that Develop, roles have changed. people have moved on to different spaces, and when you keep good relationships, when they move on, they remember you and they bring you along. So be that person who is remembered, but also do the remembering as future leaders in this space as well. Now, one of the things that I think is so important in the everyday is if we keep seeking community. It's wild, and we need community now. We've always needed community, but we especially need community now. And there's going to be folks who will need you to see them as community and will need you to reach out. It's not always on the person themselves who is marginalised, or the person themselves who's been outed that has the capacity to do the work. We all have to do the work for each other. So I really need you to keep asking the question, who is missing in this space? And why are they not here? What can we do to get them here? It's great to see you here, it truly is. But who should be with you? Who else should be in this space? Who else should be in this room? Who else should have access to what we're going to be talking about today? Who else should feel that, yeah, my mental health is a priority, and yes, I can look into it and I can learn things about supporting myself and others? Who doesn't feel like this is for them, or who's been told that this is not for them, and how can you make that bridge for that? There are some great initiatives that I've seen in my time in the industry as well, and I want to shine a light on these things. Some of them that I've been a part of, some of them I've been a fan of from afar, because as we are at a mental health summit, it's important to know in those 3 years, hey, I need to pause, and that's okay. Right, Rosie? It's all right to take the pause because you need to. And it's okay that you are active and less active, but there's still a presence for you to be felt. And these campaigns are examples, shining examples of lighthouses in this industry. The Ensemble campaign, which I've got a couple of buddies that have gone through and have had an opportunity to be showcase the work that they're doing and the change that they're making in the industry in their way. And I encourage you all to have a look at not only this year's wonderful cohort, but previous years as well. We've got the Impact campaign, again headed up by Dom with Many Cats, supporting specifically when we're talking about neurodiversity and disability in this industry. The Do I Look Like a Gamer? Now, Nigel's doing a great job here in opening up the conversation and opening up accessibility to this industry of who is this for and who can it be for? Working not only with young people, but the young people and their parents in the work as well, which is so important when we're talking about social mobility. And I know that there's a talk later about social mobility. It'd be interesting to listen on that. And obviously, Safe in Our World. Of course, I'm going to say it. I'm fortunate enough to be a patron of Safe in Our World. I believe in the mission wholeheartedly. I think that the team, the small but mighty team, are doing a fantastic job. But what I really respected was the focus on inclusivity and the focus on, hey, who's not in the room and who should be. So this campaign specifically around people of colour and our experience with mental health in the games industry, because it is important that we look at groups within the space as well. Adding to this, there are countless other organisations that I've seen that go strength to strength. Organisations that come to mind, Limit Break, the mentoring initiative. We've got Code Coven as well. Organisations that are supporting folks who are in the industry to further themselves, to improve their leadership skills or their knowledge and their access. When you think about Into Games as well, the work that Susie Bauer's doing as well in terms of making this industry open, or trying to make it as open to as many folks as possible. It's wonderful to see those initiatives. And again, as the future leaders of this industry who will have budgets, think about where you're investing your money. It's not always reinventing the wheel. Often it's not. It's about adding value to what's already going on, what's already working well, and just helping that be a better oiled machine. So seek out the people who are doing a really good job, because they are, but they're wildly under-resourced. And I can say it. I can say it. If you want to support, if you want to help, can you volunteer? Can you donate? Can you recommend speakers? It can be on we're talking about community, it can be around a specific identity trait. It could also be around the location. We've seen a couple of weeks ago, Chris and Robin and the team running a games development day for the east of England, East Anglia, I believe the event is called. But again, they want to run that summit because again, there's that area that they're focused on. Like, right, okay, here's a community. How are we supporting them? So it can be around whatever thing makes you up, but seek that community, and again, keep asking. Even when you're in the community and you're in a good place in that, keep seeking who's not there. And this is what I talk about with community. It's about those cultivating those relationships as well. So top left there, we've got Annabelle from Melanin Gamers, a wonderful organisation that has been supported this year from Games London Accelerator Programme. In the top right there is a bunch of folks that I met at my second develop, and one of those people is my current mentee through one of the programmes that I've previously benefited from, and so I've gone on to be a mentor to support them. But that was a much better experience at Develop because there were people there that weren't there the year before that had said, and there was someone who said in particular, like, thank you for writing what you wrote. I needed to read that, and now I'm here. Just do it. Just do the thing. I know it's scary, but do the thing because you don't know where it lands. The bottom left is the Limit Break team. Dom, Lauren, and Nisa. Again, small but mighty team, doing amazing things. And then, yeah, I know this is being recorded, but if we could blur out the Five Guys element, but this is a bunch of streamers, the bottom right, that are part of Black Twitch UK, co-founded by Danny and Cassie, who were speakers last year. And this wonderful group of content creators are doing amazing things with content, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok now. People are streaming on TikTok now, it's a thing, wow. And just putting out their content and showing up, and again, showing groups of people that, hey, this group that you think gaming is for, we're going to open this up and we're going to change this. And there's folks in this group that are combining their gaming passions with other passions like sport, whether it's, they were at the UEFA Champions League final with PlayStation. That was Shiz and Prince with Naysaga, again, headed up by Stephanie, doing amazing things. We've got someone who headed up, has organised their own podcast, specifically around marginalised, non-binary folks. They play games. I'd encourage you all to listen to Liddell's podcast in that way. We've got folks that are just being consistent in their content and then showing different elements of themselves. So again, what are you doing? What can be done to reach out to folks like this that are doing the work, to not only support them, encourage them and keep them motivated, but also as future leaders, how are you supporting their development? Okay. Build safe spaces if you don't have one. Again, it's not always about reinventing the wheel. And commit to continuously building trust-based relationships. We know when someone just wants it to be a transactional thing. Folks know when it's just a tick box activity, so don't do that. Be true and be honest in your reasoning for supporting groups that are marginalised, supporting groups that have been othered, supporting groups that are disproportionately being affected by the wildness of this world and all of the all of the difficulties that are happening in the industry at the moment, making sure that you can be a safe space, or you're creating a safe space, or a safer space that you can be, and committed to constantly improving that, making sure that it's trust-based and that it is a sustainably safe space. So once I went to develop and I had my experience, and before I was able to do some of the things that I've shared with you, I got disheartened. I will continually question, is this space for me? And what can I do? And I'm not sure. But I had to really take it back to basics. Now, one of the things that I'm most proud of, one of the things that I enjoy the most, what I get to do with my days, is I get to deliver Game Joy. And Game Joy is basically the absolute essence of gaming at Nan's, at my Nan's house with my cousins, and I'm able to deliver that event with multiple people in my region, in Birmingham. And for me, it starts with Black women and girls. And so I'm able to run different events for Black women and girls to see themselves in gaming. And beyond that, working with people who are in the West Midlands, because that's another region, another group that's not necessarily catered for. There are pockets, and we all know that there are pockets of in every industry, right? But this is the way that I'm doing, the space that I can do it in. There was a young girl in this in the top left who was very shy at the beginning. She told me that she liked games, but she was like, "But I'm not going to do anything." I'm like, what? Why? Like, let's go. I had the VR headset. They loved it. Just Dance. I didn't love it, but they did. Obviously Mario Kart. Brilliant. But an opportunity for them to just play and just to be connected. And it wasn't necessarily online and, away from, we're in person and we're playing alongside together. And I truly believe in the power of that with games. I truly believe in the power of that with well-being, in terms of that connectivity of, like, yeah, let's play these games alongside each other together, and let's overcome this challenge. And that's what Game Joy is all about. But this young girl, what I come to realise a couple of months later, is that her mum was at another talk that I had done, because again, just showing up, trying to spread this message that, hey, the industry is there, there's opportunity there, even in this region, or even for you in this group. But her mum basically had said that following on from that talk, she'd started some retraining because she wants to enter into the industry. And from this event, her daughter is now interested in the industry. Now, I don't know what will come of that, but what we need to do is keep on trying to plant those seeds, keep on trying to spark those things, in whichever way that you can, in your special ability. There's an opportunity as well to connect with communities. Now, in the top right, which I can see is not going to play, but this is a video that I was invited to the Nishcam Centre in Birmingham, and it was wonderful. There's a clip with there's 4 elders, these bearded Sikh men who are playing Mario Kart for the first time. So good. It's such a great image, because they were like, what is this? What is that? And I'm just taking the time again to show them, like, well, this is for you. And oh, my grandson plays. I said, wonderful. Would you like to? I've never been asked. What do you mean? We need to reach out more. It's not just for young people. It's not just for this one group. This thing, this gaming, this joy ability is for everyone. What are we actively doing to bring everyone in? You've never played? Let me show you. Oh, one of the first things that I will say is, oh, would you like to play? And someone says, oh, I'm not good. I didn't ask if you were good. I asked if you wanted to play. And so many people just need that invitation. Can you give them that invitation, please? Please? There's community days that I'm able to run alongside another organisation that does amazing work with grassroots organisations, grassroots community called Yard, Maya Collective, for anyone who wants to look into them. And again, just being able to host spaces where folks can come together and just rest their shoulders and just enjoy. But also, some of the work that I'm doing, in particular in the Midlands, is supporting those when they're rethinking what gaming is and who's it for. And so this in the bottom right is an image that I have delivered with the Young Black Lawyers group, where basically they offer training and extra support for black young people who are interested in becoming lawyers and solicitors in that process, and they give them access to mentors and different insights. I run Game Joy sessions with them to talk about working as a team, talk about communication styles. I get them on Overcooked. If you played Overcooked, you know how stressful that is, so you know how hilarious it is to watch them do it. And they are able to play this game again. They just think, oh, it's just a game, but because of the high pressure element of it, or seemingly high pressure element of it, but actually it's low stakes. So, because we can't all afford the escape rooms, we can't all afford the team day experiences, but how are you able to still get that experience? And in a controlled environment. And games is a wonderful way of how you can do that. And so there was a couple of other corporate organisations that brought me in to deliver this kind of training with their team, because all of a sudden we're able to have the most junior member of staff teach the most senior member of staff how to play this thing. And all of a sudden the titles are gone and we're able to have relationships. People are able to connect with people. And it's a phenomenal thing to see. And we're seeing confidence building. And so those people that we're talking about that want to progress in the industry, but they don't know how, suddenly they've built that relationship with a very senior person. And the channels of communications are able to flow. What are we doing then in terms of maintaining that relationship? How can we do that? Games is a fantastic vessel of doing that. It's the power of Game Joy. Cheeky plug. Now, in these times, you seek anything, don't you? You seek any level of support and comfort and inspiration and hope. For me, it's tough, but these words from James Baldwin, and countless other things that he says, just watch this person, honestly. Just helps you to carry on, because as we are at a mental health summit, we know that it's tough. So where you can seek the joy, where you can seek the inspiration, where you can seek the hope, do that. And then spread it. But not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. After my experience at Develop, I could have just said, you know what, it's not for me. I'm done. It's not a space for me. I can't put myself through that. And I would have been well within my rights to, because that is entirely an answer to. And we have lost many people in this industry because the industry hasn't treated them well enough, hasn't looked after them enough, and they have walked. And you have to do what's right for you. And still, if you can, carry on, do. And still, if you can support someone to carry on, do. There's a lot that needs work. But this industry moves at such a pace. I'm hopeful that it can. At a time that I felt the most away or most down with this industry and so unsure, there were seeds that were being planted I didn't even know. There were divine things that were happening that I didn't know at the time. But I had to consistently still show up to bear the fruits of it, right? So do that. I'm speaking specifically now to the people who are in those marginalised communities. Hey, Bab. I know it's tough. I know that you're working very, very hard just to survive. I know that there's a full iceberg underneath the sea that people don't see. And if you keep going, if you want to keep going, you can reach what you want, because all things with intention can be met. When you have intentionality behind what you're doing, you can achieve it. Now, I want to speak to the people who are not in those marginalised groups but would consider themselves allies or would want to be future allies. Hey, Bab. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Keep showing up. Keep doing what you're doing. Help the load. Keep pushing up the hill. There's access to rooms that you have that folks won't be able to. There's conversations that we'll never be privy to. Be sure that you can be proud of what you're saying in those closed spaces you'd want anyone to hear and anyone to understand. So keep going, and thank you. Your current or emerging leaders of the future of this industry, be proactive, not reactive. Not because hashtag is going around, do you get involved, and there's pressure to do so, so I suppose that, no, be proactive, be seeking, be looking, be understanding, asking the questions, asking those that are trusted, asking those that are not always heard, seeking out the people, not the ones that are shouting the most, but the ones that you can see the impact is happening. And if you can't see, ask people that you respect what they can see. I've name dropped a lot of people today. Happy to speak about any more of them to add that work. Cultivate conscious communities. It's not enough for you to just be in the community. Oh, this is my community, and that's it. Because you have to keep seeking, continuously ask who's not in the space who should be. Keep asking that. There's a level of comfort, absolutely. There's a level of, this is our space and we're creating this space, absolutely. And there needs to be that community that feels like it's on a firm foundation. But keep adding to that as best you can. And build sustainably safe spaces. Do not get complacent. Oh yeah, we've done this, so that's it. Things are ever evolving. Things are ever changing. To keep on seeking that information. Are we clear? Are we sure on what we're doing here? Are we continually a safe space? We're always aspiring safe spaces. No one can just say, oh yeah, we are, we've made it. Because what we need to remember is the furthest person from inclusivity, the furthest person from access needs to feel your warmth, which means that it's a constant evolution of what you're doing. Thank you for your time today. I'm more than willing to speak to all of you, whether it's connecting online. I'll be hanging out here today. It's wonderful to share some space with you, and again, keep going. Thank you.